Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My drive shaft has shown up from Denny's, and so let's pull it out and see what we got. So this is my 3.5-inch aluminum drive shaft from Denny's. It has an upgraded Sonex slip yoke. It has Spicer 1350 U-joints. It measures 47 3/4 inches from U-joint to U-joint. It's 2.2 pounds lighter than the old one. My critical speed goes up to around 8,000 RPM and it's balanced to 10,000 RPM. So very high quality piece. You can see how it compares to my old steel 3-inch drive shaft. So much stronger, it should be balanced better, and a little bit lighter, so wins all around. So now it's time to put it in the car and see if it actually fits. So I'm under the car with my cell phone, and as you can see, the drive shaft is in and test fitted. Fits pretty good, looks great. I would have liked it to have been about 1/8 to 1/4 inch longer, as this gap right here is right at 1 inch. You don't want anything less than 3/4 of an inch. But I did notice there's a bit of a driveline angle problem that may have been there the entire time. But the transmission comes down and it creates a shallow V angle, where I think it should be creating a shallow A angle. Now I can only push the transmission up so much. Right now I do have 1/8 spacers in there, but the problem is it's the clearance right here where the 1350 U-joint is. It's right where this, the brace is. So there's not a lot of room, so I can't move it up that much without cutting the floor out. And then my angle in the back there, which has always been right around 0-ish, at least when at ride height, that's not good because you need a minimum of 1 degree to get the U-joints to work. So I need to put in my adjustable control arms, so let's get to work on that. So if you didn't see in a previous video, I'm using the Currectrac adjustable upper control arms. What's nice about these is when it's bolted up, you can do the adjustment so you don't have to undo it and fiddle like that. So that's nice. Obviously it's boxed, so very strong, and it has like a Johnny joint deal to allow it to swivel cleanly. For the lower control arms, I'm using UMI Performance tubular control arms. I don't think there's really any benefit going from tubular to boxed. They're both strong, they're both light. I'm using the roto joint on both ends. So it'll allow the suspension to articulate without binding. Probably going to mean a little bit more road noise, but that's to be expected. And of course, they are all greasable. So I need to droop my suspension so I can install these, so time to go to work. When you put your control arms, make sure that the grease nipples point down and that the holes, assuming yours have it, for a sway bar, go towards the rear. So I got the left side of the lower control arm in. I ran into a bit of a snag where the axle actually twisted, even though I still have all 3 other control arms still in. So I fixed that by putting a floor jack underneath the pinion and was able to get it back in. I'm going to leave this there when I do the other 3 control arms. So I got the first of the 2 upper control arms out, and check this out. This is my Edelbrock no-hop bar, but look how much it's moving. I don't think that's supposed to do that. So I'll tighten that up and then move on to the other one. Now that I have the control arms out, I can set the length, and it's a good idea to set the length of the adjustables to the length of the originals. Now I just used the bolts to go through, just to line up the holes. Also, I have these little pads just to bring up the control arms so it's accurate, and they should flow in nice and easily if you got the correct length. Also, it's a good idea to use some anti-seize, which these control arms is already on there. I just use a little bit more on the top threads. But I'll set the other length for the second control arm and reinstall them. So I believe I made a discovery, a pretty significant one too. I think when the original owner, or the previous owner, installed these no-hop bars, they did not do it correctly, and they never maintained the proper pinion angle, which is why my pinion went upwards the wrong way. And even though I have adjustable upper control arms, they don't adjust short enough, so I have a bit of a problem. and a couple different options I can try to do to solve this problem. First, I can grind the threads back on my control arms and maybe get some more adjustment for them to go shorter. Or I can see if I can get this mounting point up here to go towards the rear of the car. Thus, when I install my upper control arms, it will then pull this in this way and bring my pinion down. Or I can try to grind out a lot of this material of the no hot bar and try to push it into the diff as much as I can, so that will of course move this mounting point that way, again pushing my pinion down. The problem is I just don't know how much material I'm going to have in the webbing so I can actually do this, so I'm not really sure which way to do it. I don't know what's the right way or wrong way, but I'm just going to have to pull this off and see what I can do. So I've made a decision. I'm going to move the no hot bar, the bottom of it, outwards, and that will bring the mounting point of the no hot bar towards the back of the car. I chose that because I felt that if I went the other way, the mounting point would be far too inwards, and I didn't really like that. So we're going to go with this way and see if it works. I made this little bracket here. Let's see if I can get this to focus. I made this little bracket here. This will then go bolt onto the differential, and then this bolt right here, or this hole, that is where the no hot bar will thread through and act just the same as it did before. So let's get it on and see if it works. Well, it's time to install the pinion yoke for the final time, and despite my better judgment, I'm going to replace the pinion seal, even though my current one doesn't leak. I'm going to use the Raytech 6109 seal. I chose this one because it's shallow enough that you can fully seat the seal and it won't bottom out against the pinion bearing, so it's a good one to have. This groove right here, fill it with grease because you don't want that spring to fall out. I'm then going to use some high temperature RTV on the splines, and then I'm going to use some red Loctite on the threads. Now for the nut, get a new one. These are torque to yield, so they're I don't know, like 10 bucks or something like that. Part number is what, 3752901. So let's get the old seal out, clean it up, and then we can reinstall this stuff. As you can see, I have the pinion yoke installed. I also have the seal in, and obviously I used a fair amount of silicone just to keep it from leaking. So far so good. As for the control arms no hot bar deal, you can see this mounting tab that I made to relocate the no hot bars, and so to bring that mounting point up top towards the rear of the car. And I had to use a couple of fender washers just to fill in the gap because I didn't want to mushroom the control arm. It works so far so good as well. Now I just got to drop the car onto the tires and torque it all down. So moving on. So with the rear of the car essentially done, I need to raise the transmission as high as I can, and I can only get it about 1/4 of an inch. So I bought some 1/4 inch aluminum, and I drew out my template. So I'm just going to make this little spacer that goes between my transmission and cross member just to bring it up, like I said, as much as I can. So there it is built. It's pretty crude, but I mean, it's just a spacer, so it's not that big of a deal. So I'll throw this under the transmission and see how it affects the driveline angles. So the drive shaft is in for the final time, I hope. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to run some less than ideal driveline angles. Even though I have a full 1/2 inch of spacers in the back, I just can't get the transmission high enough because it's going to hit the floor right in the bracing area. And that's just not going to work. So I'm running a 1 degree shallow V in the front, and I have, currently at least, a 2 degree shallow V in the back. And I know that's not equal angles, but once driver in the vehicle and under any kind of bumps and load, that pinion's going to raise, and that 2 degrees is going to shrink to at least 1 or 2 degrees. And then as that's going, the pinion moves up, that angle's going to get increased. So as it's 1 degree now, that'll increase for sure 1 degree as well. So I think that'll give me some good operational angles as the car's in motion and accelerating. So we'll see if it vibrates, but that is one step closer to at least being able to drive it. So hopefully that's coming soon. And if you want to see that, hit the subscribe button, like if you can, and until next time, thanks for watching.